December 24th, Christmas Eve, 2012, I went into sudden cardiac arrest and I died. My heart stopped for over 16 minutes. I had no pulse. I had no oxygen to my brain for over 16 minutes. And they worked on me for over 40 minutes or so, as I recall the EMTs telling me after we had our reunion later. But during that time, my wife said I grabbed her and I shook her, and she thought I was having a bad dream. And so she called my name, Johnny, wake up, wake up. And she noticed I didn't respond. And so she turned on the lights and saw that my eyes were rolling in the back of my head. And so she began to do chest compressions on me while I was lying in the bed. Now, if you're doing chest compressions on anyone, they should be on a hard surface. But she's giving me chest compressions. I'm on the bed, I'm 220 pounds at the time. So it's not working. So she actually witnessed me take my last breath and die right in her hands. And so the firemen came over, and it was 4 of them, and each one of them did 300 chest compressions on me for a total of 1,200 chest compressions. And I was shocked 6 times with the defibrillator. And I started breathing on my own, but I never regained consciousness. And so I coded on the way to the hospital. I coded in the hospital. And basically they told my wife that the person that she knew before was not going to be. That there was so much time that elapsed without me having any oxygen to the brain that they were fearful that I was going to be severely brain damaged. And so they told her that, you need to be thinking about getting some help by way of a caregiver and things of that nature. Now, mind you, we have only been married just 2 years now, just 2 years. And I started off 2012 celebrating my 40th birthday, having a fantastic time. December of that year, fighting for my life. So life it's so fragile, and it can change in an instant, right? And that's what happened for us. And so that was the beginning of that. And I'm only able to tell you the story because it was told to me 1,000 times, maybe 2,000 times now, by my wife. And there's other details of the story that she always shares, because I was totally oblivious to anything and everything that was on this side of the plane. I don't have any recollection at all of what led up to it and what happened after. I have no recollection. There's blocks of my memory that were deleted, if you will. So, and I thank God that I don't remember it, because for my wife, it was such a traumatic experience for her. And even to this day, she still doesn't like to talk about it. Even though now we're coming up on 9 years removed from that, she still doesn't want to talk about it. She still doesn't do interviews. She refuses to even be brought back to that space, because for her, she's anchored, by that. And it just automatically brings her to this place where she's just so hurt. Mm. My experience is totally different. I have no emotional attachment to it. So I can share and I can talk about it freely, because it doesn't make me emotional at all to talk about it. Mm. But what I will say about the whole experience of being disconnected from my body, I do recall, as I was in a coma for 2 days, and I spent 9 days in the hospital, or 10 days in the hospital total. I do recall me seeing myself lying down, but at the same time, I was in a space where I felt so loved, and it just enveloped me like a mother holding a newborn. It was like a safety, it was like a security, and I just felt so peaceful. I was everywhere all at once. Like my consciousness was just heightened 1,000 times. But the crazy thing is that I didn't miss what was on the other side. It was like I was oblivious to what was on the other side. And my wife said to me that she was talking to me while I was lying on the hospital bed with all of these wires and tubes and everything going in me. And she was whispering in my ear, telling me that she loves me and come back and you're my champion. I love you. We want you here. We need you here. And I told her, I said, babe, I didn't hear a word you said. Like I was not here, you know? But I do recall just feeling like I was so loved. And then I heard a voice. That voice said to me, that is not your time. You can't stay. And I heard that voice just as vivid and just as clear as I can hear my own sound of my voice right now as I'm speaking to you. I couldn't tell if it was a female's voice or a man's voice, but it was loud, but it was also very soft. It was just like, you ever have a book in your hand and you're reading the book, but you're reading the book to yourself? You can hear yourself reading it, but you can't explain exactly, well, what does that voice actually sound like? You just know that it's a voice, right? That's your spirit man talking. And so that's how it was for me. It was a very soft, subtle, but loud at the same time, because it was a perfect silence, just perfect silence. And I remember feeling that I didn't want to return. I didn't want to come back. I wanted to stay exactly where I was. So I didn't see a light. I didn't see family members, things of that nature. But my experience was one of love, safety, pure happiness and joy. And I didn't want to return. I felt like I was in a really good place, and had I stayed a little longer, I would have been okay. I would have gone for good. And my spirit would have been completely satisfied and happy, overjoyed, if you will, with where I was at that time, because I was completely oblivious to anything that was happening on this side. There was no emotional attachment to anything on this side. And I thought that was absolutely amazing, because you know, when you lose family members and friends, you often wonder if they're thinking about you, if they're watching you, if they're looking out for you. And in that brief moment when I was disconnected, I was unaware. So I was still, I think I was in a place, I was still kind of transitioning. You know, that's the only way that I can kind of make sense out of it and try to interpret exactly what was happening to me at that time. But it totally changed my life, and it totally changed my perspective on life. And, you know, I've always been a reserved, calm, easygoing person, but it just made me that much more calm and that much more easygoing and that much more appreciative. You know, and it also gave me a heightened sense of compassion and a heightened sense of love and appreciation, especially during these times right now when we're seeing so many people pass away from so many different things. You know, we're in the midst of a pandemic. And if you're on social media, you can see all the rest in peace, this person, that person, this person. And it's just so much hurt, and it's just so much pain, you know, that people are dealing with. And it's almost like I can feel that. It's weird, and I can't explain it, but I had some I guess supernatural things occurring when I did come back into my body, and I was back in you know, this vessel. And I remember getting home and having these weird dreams. I mean, really bad dreams. Well, some of them were bad dreams, but some of them were I think, people that were coming to visit me. Mm-hmm. And because I still kind of had a connection. I tell my wife, I had this connection between our world and the other world. You know, just beyond that, there's a realm of our reality that is just beyond this wall. Like, this is a wall. It's just beyond the wall. And I still had a connection there. And I had people visiting me in my dream. And it's really weird, you know, and I don't like talking about it to folks that are like not on this level because when you're having these types of conversations with people that don't understand the supernatural or totally disregard the supernatural, because you have a lot of scientists and people out here that are atheists that don't believe. And I don't get into arguments with those individuals. I don't try to force them to kind of see things my way. I'm like, you know, you definitely have the right to be wrong. I had people visiting me, you know, sharing different things with me that they wanted me to take back, messages that they wanted me to convey to folks. And I did that, you know, with a couple of my friends, and it freaked them out. It freaked me out. But, you know, I was just like, man, this is really, really just, it's unexplainable. I can't explain it. You know, there's things that are just beyond our scope of understanding. And I've come to accept that. You know, I'm not one of those rigid scientists that says, oh, there has to be an explanation for it. Nope. Because scientifically, I'm not even supposed to be alive. I'm dead right now. According to medical science, Johnnie Davis should have died on Christmas Eve 9 years ago. But I'm here talking to you.